Happy Monday. So glad to see so many of your faces and some new friends that are from Allie's team. And Allie, just want to say thank you in advance for taking time out of your schedule to come and share with us. So something we've been trying to do the last few months is to just have a Jewel who is in closer momentum than when we went. Joel, I went Emerald in 2017, and a lot of our jewels on our team are from 2020. And so it's just really good, I think, especially for a lot of our new business builders or, our golds through rubies to see, hey, there are people that are in momentum and that have gone Emerald recently and that are working. And so we're so excited to hear from you and hear a little bit more about you. So I'm going to turn it over to Megan, who is going to do a quick intro and bio as we get started tonight.
Okay, awesome. Can you guys hear me okay? I know sometimes with the AirPods, is it bad? Is it okay? Okay. I met Allie, I think it was maybe COVID. She's a nurse practitioner. I think we maybe had both had our first kid around that same time, 2020 babies, or maybe he was a little bit older. And we were both at the point of leaving our jobs. And so she's a nurse practitioner, so she had been working. I'll let her tell her story, but we kind of connected over the fact of like, okay, we're kind of done with the COVID situation and wanting to be home with our first babies. And it was just kind of that mix of emotion of like, I have this job that I went to school for, but I want to be home, but I align with a lot more holistic stuff with Plexus. So all of that to say, that's how we really hit it off. And since then, we have stayed in contact. I have to just say, Plexus has such a cool community because I've been able to connect with so many other girls that were running for Emerald kind of at the same time that I was, and really have been an encouragement in my journey outside of just my team. And so I really have to say, like, if you don't have connection outside of your direct team or your direct sponsor, find those people because there are so many people in Plexus that have sidelines and that have other girls that are encouraging you. They're doing different things with their teams. They're at different points in their business. Me and Allie, like, I feel like we've connected when we've been in different seasons. And then she's been like such a voice of encouragement or voice of even ideas when I feel like I'm stuck. I don't know what to like. It's just great to have a sounding board outside of your direct sponsor and team as well. So that is just how I feel like Allie has been a very great role model. She has a lot of grit. Whenever I'm like, oh, like kind of questioning stuff, I'm like, oh, she is somebody that has been very consistent with casting vision in areas that I feel like I struggle in. She does a really good job at, and so I like to seek her advice on those things. And she just does such a good job. She's not like a social media guru. She's not having it all together. She's very honest about her journey, about her life. She has three little kids now, and she has really grown up and down in Plexus and has stuck with it even in the low points and has recently even started re-earning those Emerald trips again. And so I'll let her share her story. She again is just she's somebody that has like so much grit, so much wisdom, and she's a very good cheerleader for people. And so I'm really excited for you guys to hear her story tonight.
Thanks, girl. I guess this is my time to start talking. Thanks, Sally, for having me on, and Megan. That was so sweet and warm and fuzzy. I definitely love side sisterhood. If you didn't see me drop that in the chat, so that is one little challenge. If you don't know anyone besides your upline and maybe one person on your team, or maybe you go to those same people and you're like, like what more is there to Plexus? You have to tap into a side sisterhood and maybe drop in the chat or in your team chat we can share ours, or come to Megan or myself and we can maybe buddy you up with somebody that is like in a similar season or is going for a rank like you, or maybe you're in a re-rank season, wherever it is. I feel like that is something that I really do seek out a lot. And I actually was talking to my sponsor, who's Heather. She's on this call. She's not one to do that. And it doesn't mean that she's a, bad leader or her business isn't growing, but like that is something that fuels me and is definitely part of my journey that I'll share a little bit about, that I feel like really helps me if I feel in a rut or like in a lull, or I feel uninspired, or I just like I'm going through the motions and I just feel like things aren't working. That is when Megan and I have talked many of times, like, what are you doing? What's working for you? And so on and so forth. But like she mentioned, I am a nurse practitioner. Actually, in 2020, Yes, when we connected, it's honestly funny. I'm like, how did we even really connect? I don't exactly know, but I do remember like when you meet your friends in person that you like see online and your friends and you're inspired by them or they're a jewel and you just wonder they're just like this celebrity, right? This diamond. Well, they're no different than like we are, but they're just at a different level, so they encourage you and push you. So I remember meeting Megan and it was like we've been friends forever and that's just the beauty of Plexus. But I started my journey in 2018, right when I was getting married. And I was just the person that like I had always thought I was doing what I needed to do to be my healthiest self. With being a nurse at the time, I was actually a GI nurse, but I didn't understand what gut health was. I knew gut health as Miralax and diverticulitis and stomach issues and nausea and Bentyl for your stomach cramps and again Miralax. Okay, so like I knew the band-aids that the nursing world taught me and the prescriptions to treat ulcerative colitis and Crohn's and esophagitis and stomach medicines to stop your body's process of helping you digest your food. So when my friend mentioned, "Do you know what gut health is?" I said, "Yeah, I'm a GI nurse," but I did not know what plexus was. And so I really love my background is important, but you don't have to be a health professional to thrive in Plexus. But I just feel like I have some added value to offer and kind of like two sides now. And I love being on this side of the spectrum, not the prescriptions and lots of antibiotics and antidepressants and go on, right? So yes, there's need for those, and oftentimes, very much value for helping people be healthier. Plexus has been a missing puzzle piece that helped me get off of Miralax, my stomach medication that I was put on for unknown esophagitis. Um, Probably just a few too many cocktails in college, but hey, I was taking a stomach medicine because it was given to me. So what I found is that my acid reflux was flaring and I was taking Tums and it was band-aiding it. So of course, insert the products. I noticed I was not using Miralax all the time. I was going to the bathroom. I wasn't eating Tums and ibuprofen for acid reflux and headaches. And just in a nutshell, that was my health story. I looked healthy on the outside, I guess, but I didn't feel the greatest until I realized that I could feel better. And so as I, again, was getting married, I was, very fit and toned and, never struggled with my weight, thankfully. And so Plexus just became this really amazing thing that I loved. And so being a nurse, working in the GI world, um, insert COVID a little bit of time later, but I had my first baby and I took the products through then. And that was when I really caught a vision for, this opportunity could be something. Never was that person that thought I was going to do it. Put a one in the comments if that was you. Or maybe you're on here and you're like, I want to attract people to this business, right? Like, we're never going to find people. We're going to create business builders by getting product lovers. So that's my first like takeaway or aha moment is if you think someone is going to come into your business and know what to do and take you to the ring, you are wrong because you are going to find those people by believing in what you're offering, belief in yourself, belief in your products, and belief in your opportunity. Maybe one of those is rocky, or maybe you're not even offering your opportunity and you're hoping that someone comes and wants it. That's a really big roadblock too, because for the longest time, I didn't offer it. I usually default to the products because, like I said, my background in health, I just kind of like talk it in my sleep and I really think about it and it's easy and it's fun and I like to teach about health. But when I flipped to, I have more than one thing to offer, and that is a stream of income for moms or for women, and I have products, you can always default to the products. So back to my story before I go into like some takeaways. But in 2020, I had my son. So I took the products all through pregnancy, really loved that part of my story, was very grateful for it. And it wasn't until I was holding my son in my rocker, nursing him in the middle of COVID, like crying because I had maternity leave that was like, I don't know. I don't even know. So long ago, like 30% pay, basically nothing. And then someone telling me that I have to go back to work. And so I did, of course, go back to work Maybe you are that mom on this call that's like, man, my babies are like fresh and new, or you're expecting, or maybe your kids are in school and you're like, I would love more time with my kids. You don't have to quit your job to be successful with Plexus. I never thought I would leave my job full time, but God had a different story. So at that moment, I was like, I'm going to share Plexus. And I remember I went back to work as a nurse. I remember very vividly the pump breaks, and I was sending messages, and I was checking on customers, and I was posting on a lunch break, and I was getting up a little earlier, and I was staying up a little later. No matter where you are in your journey right now, like I chose to show up in my business and prioritize Plexus as a new mom, working, figuring out how to be a wife in the first, year of marriage, all those things. But like as a new mom, I was sleep deprived. And I just remember, I'm like, Plexus is going to be more than it is right now. Like I'm going to do this. And so I had a best friend who's no longer with me, but she was like one of those people that came and went silver. And then I think she got to gold anyways. Maybe you're in that season of like a friend leaving or your first business builder quitting. But I was like, that was fun and I can do this again. And it gave me a little bit of hope. But, I went back to work for about, I don't know, 6 to 8 months. And then I started my nurse practitioner job because I actually had my interview in COVID on a Zoom, holding my baby, like for my NP job. It was all so crazy and such a blur. But I remember like being excited about that. And so I transitioned to that and was like growing. I was gold, senior gold. I went Ruby. I worked a year and a half as an NP, building from Ruby to senior Ruby. And I feel like life just hit. So I don't know all the numbers, but like I didn't fly there with colors of, just like all these business builders. I just was having fun and I was excited. And you don't, you don't, rem, all I can say is I'm so glad I stuck it out. And I'm so glad that I am a hard worker. And if you're a hard worker and you're willing to put in consistency, you don't have to work 4 hours a day, but consistency will compound and it will bring you confidence in yourself and it will bring you credibility in what you're offering and it will start those conversations and you will build a business. So, all that to be said, so I went Emerald in 2020. So I'm trying to think, like, I guess it was like a year to like 16 months, maybe ish from gold to emerald, but like it was very sustainable. I did have two rubies like within that time frame and they're no longer with me anymore. But that's not to discourage anyone on this call, but it's normal if you're in a season of a loss or you're like, man, is anyone ever going to do this? Or I spent so much time on her and now she's not here. Your business is just like the seasons. Like, thank goodness that there's a fall to like bring get rid of some stuff that is dead weight, right? And then there's spring coming. We got to get through winter, right? If you feel like you're in winter right now and you're like, is it ever going to shine again? I feel like it's cold and snowy and I'm not having fun. Well, I've been there too in many seasons, but spring comes, brings new blooms and you will grow again. So I want to like here, drop a 1 if you're in momentum, drop a 2 if you're in like a season of like, what am I doing? What do I want out of this? And drop a 3 if you are in rebuilding. I want to know. Because all that to be said, I did go Emerald. I guess Heather might even know. We've kind of started together. She's my upline, but we're very much like, I feel like sisters in the business. And I remember in 2021, so as I was a new, sorry, I feel like this is encouraging too. So 2020, I earned Mexico Emerald and I didn't go because it was COVID and there was some weird things going on in my job at the time. Wasn't able to get the time off. So that was really sad. And then guess what? I didn't earn it in 2021 and 2022. So I dropped rank and that was when I was like, fear and scarcity and am I doing this right? And it's like so short. My husband's dancing in front of me right now. So those things I remember feeling like a lot of mindset junk and like getting down on myself and I'm not a good leader and this isn't maybe this isn't meant for me, right? So those temporary thoughts, I was like, no, this isn't why Plexus is here for me. So um I just want to encourage you that if that is you, hopefully my 5 C's that I'm going to share with you will encourage you in some way. So I since 2021, I've had two more kids. I have my baby that I was holding that I told you, he's now 5. He just started kindergarten. And I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And through that, Plexus has been steady. And actually in 2021, as a non-holding emerald, I got terminated from my NP job due to the mandates that I did not wish to receive and abide by. I'm sure you all can fill the gaps. But I remember saying, this is my way out, and it's going to be a hard one, but I'm going to stand firm in what I want. And it is not that vaccine, and it is my free will. I have been a frontline worker in primary care for a year, wearing a mask every day, testing COVID patients, and someone's going to tell me what I have to do? No. So I remember I was like one in very few in my corporation that did not abide by it, and I got fired. And I'm like, I remember like shaking, like, okay, like I have a baby, I have a child. And 3 weeks after I got terminated, I found out I was expecting my second child. In the midst of all that, I did have a miscarriage a few months prior. And that was part of the reason why I just didn't know what was best, but I knew that I was following my gut, no pun intended. And I stood firm. And so on um, September 30th of 2021, I lost my job and I lost my insurance and my family's insurance. And I knew that Plexus was going to provide. And I'm so thankful that I let my faith actually like stand firm when I felt like things were falling in my business. And so that is what I first want to say is, you know, maybe you want to be a jewel, or maybe you're like, I just really want to, I don't know what this team is made of, but I know you're on this call on a Monday at 8:50 because you want your business to grow and you believe in Plexus. And the main things that I can say is when Megan was like, give me some inspiration or some tough love, I'm like, like, I don't know what to say. Like, who can I inspire? It's probably not going to be anything aha moment. It's probably just going to be reminding you of the basics, and hopefully you take away something. But the first C, I have 5 C's. My team knows I'm always good for like an acronym or something that you can take away and remember. The first C is commitment. So you have to have a clear vision and you have to be committed. You can't be like halfway in, I'll do this when it's convenient. You're committed to doing what it takes and figuring it out. Okay. So if you're committed, you write the word committed, or commit tonight to like recommit yourself to your own goal that you set that you probably have given up on yourself a lot for, because that's honestly the hardest part about what we do is you're not clocking in. Like sometimes we glamorize it, like I'm just gonna like be your own boss. You have to show up in like when you don't really feel like it. So clear vision. I actually want to read this. I read it this morning and I feel like it was like meant to go along with what I had to say. So this is from a devotional. It's called The 100 Days of Believing Bigger. And it says, own your vision. The Lord replied, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. From Habakkuk 2:2. God speaks to us in such unique and intimate ways. He can get your attention by any means necessary, but the real question is whether you're paying attention. When God seeks to shift you, he almost always begins by stirring your heart and agitating your comfort. How many times have we said, like, get out of your comfort zone? Are we really listening to those things, or are we staying in our comfort zone? The next thing he'll do is give you a glimpse of where he's taking you next, and most of us ignore the signs, tugs, and recurring messages. We say, we want to be used by God, but then we avoid all situations, disrupting the predictability that makes us feel safe and secure. But to believe bigger is to ask God for a bigger vision, and to believe that you're worthy of more. Sometimes we confuse the desire to experience more with being greedy and discontent. Balance is important, but desire is divine. Ecclesiastes 1:7 says, all streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. You may want more because God designed you for more in his limitless image, and he won't force you into it, but he gives you a bigger vision to those ready to make bigger decisions. So again, I read that this morning and I just felt like there are seasons in my business when I was, unsure what I was going for. Like I left my job, but was kind of unwilling. Like it wasn't my vision to be a full-time stay-at-home mom. I have a degree that I worked really hard for, but it was a vision of, okay, this is the vehicle to take me there. And so I'll send the screenshot to Jody. So if you don't have a vision, if you're like, I want you to like write out what's in your mind. Sometimes I like struggled with like, where am I going? Or that felt so scary and like weird. And like sometimes I'm bad at reflecting and like writing things down or even just like visualizing what do I want and where am I going? And that helps. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. You've heard that. We want the instant gratification. We want the ad. We want the fast start silver. We want to see 100-point growth. But like, this is a marathon. How are your habits doing? And are you really committed? 80/20. You guys have probably heard this a lot, but I just want to remind you all that I don't have any like secret sauce, but what we do is 80% mindset and 20% skill. So are you lacking in a skill of one of the pillars, or are you lacking in your mindset around your business, yourself, or your opportunity? And then 80/20, I kind of flipped it for another thing that has really helped me is 80% of what we do is fluff and 20% is actually going to grow our businesses. Are we busy or productive? Are you making content and avoiding messaging? Are you saying happy birthday but not doing plexus asks or offers? Are you, just checking in with your team but not actually taking action yourself? So don't get lost in the fluff and think about what is the most productive activity that I can take today, and that will compound your business. So the first C was commitment. The second C is consistency. I think we can all do a self-check on ourselves, like what are we consistent in, or what do we need? And working when it's hard, inconvenient, and quiet. How many of us like crawl into a hole when we're like, where's my team? Or it's soccer season, it's really busy, I'll work later, or you just had a baby and it's like been a month or two and you're just not in it. Like, yes, seasons change. And I can say that like having two babies since starting my business and being, having a large business, you adapt, but you still have to show up in certain things and do the consistency piece in small segments. But thank goodness I don't have to clock in for 10 hours doing 20-minute appointments all day long, missing my kids, right? And so whatever profession you're in, if you're a teacher, it might look like your planning period, or you're in the soccer or the sports season with your kids. It might look like taking your customer care list to the sidelines and firing them off at practice, or staying up late if your kids are, in bed by 8:30, you might stay up till 10. I worked a lot of my business in the evening, and now I'm in the nap time phase of my business building. So what does consistency look like to you? I want to hear just like a couple things in the comments. Or do you need examples of like how to do consistent things in your business? We can talk about that. But no matter what, it's an intentional priority to show up for yourself. I'm going to share about two next, Megan. And you can't work sometimes and expect growth. Like we can work our businesses full-time, part-time, but sometimes isn't going to bring us probably the paycheck that we want to see. The third C is courage. What will get you out of your comfort zone? And what are you doing? And what are you avoiding in your business? Maybe write that down or tell your sponsor, here's what I've been avoiding, because that's the first thing you need to do after this call. You still have 4 days left of the month, and your points do not define you. But if you quit now and you just hope for November to be better, like November doesn't have 31 days. We are blessed with 31 days. We could have an end of the month tomorrow, but we have 3 whole days after that. And that's the mindset I want you guys to take right now. If you didn't work the first 2 weeks of your business, you have 4 more days to show up and go work your business. So do something that gets you out of your comfort zone. Go live, get in your stories if you've been hiding behind a pretty graphic, right? And grab a friend to go live with you, or go drop off samples, or talk to someone at work that maybe, I don't know, if is down the hall that you're hoping they ask about your pink drink, but maybe you just share them a sample tomorrow. I want you guys to do that. Okay. And then plexus, faith over what I read that. Let me read my notes for a second. This is a part of your life. Okay. Yeah. Plexus is a part of your life for a reason. Plexus isn't your life, but it's here for a reason. And we have to have courage, which steps out of the comfort zone. I don't know if you guys follow Kyle Rainey, but I feel like all I hear is the word courage when he says it. It like convicts you that you're like, I have to do this, and I will do it afraid, and I will lean into the resistance because I have a gift to offer. And so it's so easy to be fearful and stay comfy because our brain doesn't like resistance or rejection or fear. But when you feel those things, it means you're doing what you should be doing. The 4th C of the 5th is connections. So, as a nurse, ABCs are breathing, circulation, but the ABCs of plexus is to always be connecting. And that is the first thing that your body will probably avoid. You will post before you go message. You will make reel before you go message. You will check your DMs from your team before you go message. If everyone's been there, but think of that as your sign. If your team is quiet, you are the driver that can go start conversations and connections. And if we're not doing enough of that, you're not going to have joins and you're not going to have energy because you're not reaching out to people. So that would be one thing I feel like I'm really good at and consistent with. I consistently go silver and sometimes have more ads myself. And I just am always starting my own IPA with conversations and messages. And so what Megan dropped in there is I do that to myself a lot, and I challenge my team, and I think I shared it with Megan about a month ago, and she went and was so excited that she did 100 message reach out in October. Was it in November? I don't know what month. September, or was it a little bit ago? Either way, she was like coming because she felt like things were quiet, and that was the tip I gave her to start an ABC challenge. That is simply opening up your Facebook. That's what I mainly have built my business on. But opening up your Facebook to your friends and actually categorizing them by letter and writing down A in a notebook and sending 5 A's, and you work through the alphabet. So if you did 5 A names, it's gonna take time. Some are gonna be connections, some are gonna be business reach outs, some are gonna be product reach outs, some you're gonna be like, I've never messaged this person before. But it gives you an intentional focus of where you're going if you feel like you've messaged everybody. And so sometimes I go and I'm only doing it with business asks, or I'm only doing it to start, some conversations that are outside of plexus. But connections are the fuel for your business. So if you feel quiet, that's the first thing I want you guys to do after this call is go reach out and send some messages. I know Megan and I have talked a lot about boards. There's no magic message except the one you don't send won't ever get read. But the ones you do send, you're planting seeds. You're not going to get a response every time you send a message. 1 in 8 will respond to you. So just think of that probability of if you sent 20 this week and you got 2 conversations, that's pretty good. But what if you sent 50? You're going to have, 4 to 5 and so on. So for a lot of times when I was trying to build momentum, I would, give myself a goal of 100 messages a month or 200 a month. And I would actually write that in a notebook, lovely notebooks, like real notebooks, and write them in the numbers 1 through 100 to 200 so that I held myself accountable. And then I could just go back and highlight, weekly who responded, whether it was a no thanks or a yes or a, some sort of connection. I just highlighted them because anytime I needed to go back and I could see my progress, I could be proud of myself, but I could also grab those names and recycle them or follow up with those people. So grab a notebook, start an ABC challenge. Maybe you challenge a side sister or your team to do it as well. And that can really start some momentum. And a joke, you can't post a it's about as reliable as pray. So don't just hope people are message you about you've been here for more than a month or two. You are going to need to be making those conversations and opening up those doors. Something as simple as, hey, I don't know if you've seen anything that I've shared, but I see you're a busy mama like me, and I just was curious if you're open to learning about plexus. Or, hey, I see you're a busy mama. Or, I know you're a busy mama like me, and I just felt drawn to reach out and ask, do you struggle with anything like energy or mood? You know, those are some just like asks, conversation starters. If you see someone posting their Alani or their Starbucks in their stories, that's the perfect time to say, hey, oh my gosh, girl, that's pretty. But you know what? I actually get paid for things that I share. Would you ever want to learn about what I use for energy? Right? Into the inbox excitedly and confidently. And then the last C is climb. Continue the climb, enjoy the process. Sorry, enjoy the journey and trust the process. I love my friend Heather. She always reminds me, focus on what you did accomplish, not what you feel like you didn't accomplish. I'm the person that wants to do like 15 things, and if I got 10 done, I did not finish my list. So I'm not happy with myself. But she encouraged me and challenged me, and I actually need to get back to it. Like, what did you accomplish today? What are you proud of? Right? Like, write it down. And that is so true in type A or red personalities or whatever. But if you send 5 messages tonight and you haven't done messages all week, that is a win. You don't have to have an ad to be a win. You don't have to go silver, get blank, right? Give yourself a challenge. You know where you're at and what you want to get to, but any activity is better than none. But focus on the most productive thing. So, trusting the process, as I can tell you, you're going to talk to a lot of Jules, or you're going to follow Jules and people that are a little bit bigger or farther along than you. But we've been here for years. It's because we have the stickability that we know we are in the best industry, we are in the best company, we are going to get to where we want to go if we just don't give up. And I'm going to end on a Christina Williams quote that always has stuck with me. I have no idea when she said it or what video, but she said, find the message in the mess, suck your way to success, and you're going to be a disaster until you become a master. So you're going to figure it out. You just have to remember that we got to have fun and we're going to figure this out. And there's no one stopping us except ourselves. So I hope that's encouraging to you that yes, I'm still an Emerald and I'm a proud Emerald. I did go to Alaska and I went to Maui last year, but there was 2 years where I didn't go and that was really hard, but I'm so glad that I didn't give up. And I will be a sapphire and I will be a diamond, and some of you all on this call will be there too. And wherever you are right now, there was a time in your life that you probably prayed to be where you are, but now you're feeling like you're not far enough, or you were farther and now you fell back. So don't compare yourself to anyone else or your own dang self, because I've done that a lot too. Like, am I ever going to get back to where I was? What am I doing wrong? So, I am so glad to see some faces on here. Some I've never met, some that I know the names of, but haven't really ever had the time to get to know you guys more. But one action to do when you get off of here, do the thing you've been avoiding and go send the dang message. Okay. I can share a couple of my favorite messages with Megan of just the plain old basics. Go connect with people, or go look at your stories that you spent so long, or you put so much time into sharing plexus, but then you never went and looked at who looked at them. That is the perfect place to go look too. If you've been putting those pretty graphics in your stories, but then you haven't done any activity with them, you can go back to your archive and look at the stories and go connect with people that looked at them and start conversations.
Thank you so much. I feel like everyone loves to be inspired, but then we also love the tangible examples, because I'm always like, but how? Like it just gives us that example and belief again that it's like it is possible. It's not complicated. We make it complicated in our heads. And that doing those simple things consistently does really make a difference. So I do love your story. I love how you have chosen to just stay committed to that belief, and reminded us like it's possible if we just keep showing up. It doesn't have to be complicated. We just overcomplicate it by overthinking it. But the actual action can be very basic. Um,
And the
and so,
buffering.
especially, yes, when we're actually doing the right action, not just the fluffy things, like you said. So, thank you so much. I am going to wrap us up in prayer. If you guys can hear me okay, my thing was, and my internet might be sucky, but I'm going to wrap us up in prayer, and then encourage us to just go do those things that we might be avoiding that Allie was saying. So, Jesus, thank you so much for this evening. God, I thank you for the women and even guys that might be listening to this call. God, that you've brought us here for a reason, that there's something that you even spoke through Allie tonight that may have touched our hearts and encouraged us in a way, God, something that you might be even pulling on our heart to drawing us into more, not just more hustle or more distraction, God, but actually more belief that things are possible with you, that we can do more of the right things, more of the things that you're calling us to, even if they're hard, even if it's hard for a season of learning to basically work new muscles in our business, God. But that really ultimately you want to bless us through this so that we can also be a blessing to others, God. And so I thank you for just a voice of encouragement tonight. I thank you for Plexus. I thank you for even products that truly are changing people's lives in really big ways, and even in small ways. And ultimately, God, we thank you for relationships and for the community that you've brought because of this, and the ways that you're really causing us to grow, and to learn more about you, Jesus, through this. So thank you for this. Thank you for the people that will come join our teams that need you, that need this community, that need the products and the finances, God. And thank you for helping us just to learn to let things go that are not ours to hold on to, and really just to honor you as really the only one that we really need to be worried about pleasing. We don't need to be pleasing other people, God. And so we just thank you for the gifts that you've given each person here, and the ways that you want to partner with us and want us to be working together with you. In Jesus' name, amen. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Megan, for having me.